and in toffee. All right. So as I talked about, the stencil is kind of split in half. This left half is what you want to start with. It is the solid portion of the leaves. The right half is the detail portion. So once we do this, then we're going to come and move this over and stencil a darker color over the top of what we had just done. And in order to protect the other side of my cardstock, because I want to use that for the pots, so I'm not wasting any, I'm going to take a piece of my, I love this tape. This is the Post-it removable labeling tape. And I'm just going to cover up the details there so I don't get any transfer on that side. And we'll go ahead and tape down this side as well. And we're going to start with spearmint ink for the solid part of the leaves. And you always want to start with, in the case of this stencil, you always want to start with the lighter color, and then you'll come in over the top with the darker color once we get to the right side of the stencil, which is the detail portion. Kathy has so many plants, and one time she found one in her fridge. Oh, Kathy, I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure my mom is right there with you. She's probably had a plant in her fridge.
I know, I love how many people are commenting about the love of their plants. One lady was saying she's had her plant for over 20 years.
Whoa!
I'm like, I want to be that! Mine.
Man, that's awesome.
That's amazing.
Must be a very hardy plant, or you're a very good gardener or plant tender. I don't do very well, as I mentioned, but I do love succulents because they don't need to be watered as often.
Mm-hmm. They're pretty durable.
Yeah.
Except when I accidentally kill them. And I'm like, that one must have been sick.
Right.
It's not me.
It couldn't possibly be me. The plant was sick. Oh, all right. So that's spearmint. I'm going to come in with just a tiny bit of blue raspberry. And we're going to do that at the base of each of these. And then, oh, that's my poblano. Then we're going to move our stencil over, and we're going to do poblano for the detail layer, which is the darkest of the trio.
I love this color combination. I don't think I would have ever picked blue raspberry.
Yeah, it's not a traditional plant color, but I do love that succulents come in so many different colors. I love it when they get a little bit of purple in them.
I'm sorry, did you just say purple?
I did!
I love it when they have purple in them.
Apparently purple in my card making is a no, but purple in my plants is a yes. Okay, we're going to take this off now before we start the poblano, and we are going to move it over. Now, if you wanted to, you could cut the stencil down the center if you didn't want to keep it all together. I tend to lose things, so keeping them all together makes great sense. We do have alignment squares on these stencils, so when you shift it, you should be able to just line up those alignment squares and your designs will fall right into place. I am going to use this again. Go ahead and tape kind of right about here. All right, poblano. I am trying to be a little bit more light-handed with this because it is such a dark, intense color. I don't want it to overpower what we put down first. All right, let's take a peek. I'm gonna put that back down just a tad right here. Lost a little bit of that detail in those leaves. So pretty, they turned out great.
Ooh.
I know that Jill, when she did her card, she actually used, it looked like a Wink of Stella type of a pen or something over the top of her leafy pieces. So they actually glitter. So you could do that too if you want a little bit of shine. Let's go ahead and do the pots. Here we go. Place those over on the other side of our piece of 6x6. And I'm going to keep using this same piece of the Post-it removable labeling tape to keep that down. And one more piece of teal tape over here on, we'll go here and here. So we're going to start with Oyster. Oyster is a light gray color for the solid layer of the plants, or the pots. And then our detail layer is going to be black. I'm going to do that with VersaFine Clair. Ooh, Debbie says she lives in southern Utah and the cacti are in full bloom.
Ooh, that sounds gorgeous.
Cool. The colors are so vibrant. Ooh, I don't think I've been in that part of the country when the cacti have been blooming.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've been to a lot of deserty areas.
Have you
I have never seen them.
No.
I must miss it.
Maybe it's for only a short time. Debbie, you'll have to educate us. How long do the cacti bloom?
I have this one specific succulent that only blooms during Christmas.
Ooh.
And for some reason it loves me so much, it now blooms every 3 months.
Oh.
Mom keeps telling me, she's like, I don't know what you're feeding this thing. I'm like, I literally barely water it.
It found its happy place.
I know, it's just surviving on its own.
I would love to know if anyone names their plants. If I missed that discussion, I'm sorry, but I know everybody has, like, some people name their cars and some people, well, obviously we name our kids, but and our pets. All right, I'm gonna put VersaFine Clair over this layer. And sometimes I like to use the VersaFine Clair for blending. It seems to make quicker work of black than Oreo does for me. So I use it more out of speed than out of necessity. Debbie says she has too many to name. Heather said her grandma had a fern named Alfie.
Aww.
Candy has a plant she named Walter. I love it.
So cute.
All right, so there we have our pots and our plants, and we'll go ahead and take those dies that I showed you. Now, one thing I will note is it's probably going to be easier to cut this paper down the middle before you die cut it, rather than trying to fit this entire 6x6 sheet through your die cut machine. Now that is if you have a normal size cutting platform. It's typically 6x9, so sometimes with it being exactly 6 inches, you can get it off just slightly and have trouble with potentially even ruining your die if it's too close to the edge. So to avoid that, I'm just gonna cut it down the center and then we're gonna die cut it twice. We're gonna send it through twice. If you have a die cut machine that has a large cutting bed though, you could send it through all together at the same time. I'm grabbing a little bit of my favorite Scotch removable tape and we'll go ahead and line these up. Now, when you get to lining these up, I think I've mentioned this before, these squares are bigger than the squares on the stencil, and there is a reason that I did it that way, because a lot of times if your square and your opening are the same size, it's hard to see if you have even spacing or if your pots are in the correct place. So you can take a look at those alignment guides, and because you can see the whole square inside, you can see if the white space surrounding it is consistent. And then the other thing I definitely want to mention on this one, so as you line this up, pay attention to the squares. And then you will notice, I'm gonna actually tape it down and then I'll hold it up into the screen so you guys can see this, but I wanna make sure I get all these pieces perfectly lined up inside here. All right, then I'll hold this up a little closer and show you. So you will notice that there is extra white space at the bottom of each of the plants. So as you're aligning this one, just make sure you're aligning the top area of the die cut and paying attention to those alignment squares. That extra white space at the bottom is intentional, and the reason why we went with this is so that you have a spot to adhere your plant behind the pot. So if we had made the die come all the way up to the edge of the plant, then you wouldn't have that extra space to adhere behind and you'd lose some of your plant. So we kept the plants at the right size and perspective and just gave you a little bit of a lip or an edge to adhere that plant behind the pot. Does that make sense? All right, we'll pull in our die cut machine here and get to die cutting. Oh, Debbie Carter, she's the plant whisperer. I call my mom that sometimes too. She takes special joy in going around to the different places in town that sell plants, and usually at the end of the plant season, she heads to all the stores and she buys the plants that are dead or dying. They're usually selling them for, lower price or having them clearanced out, and she calls it Dead Plant Week, and she goes and she buys the plants that are dying and she brings them back to life, and she takes great joy in that. We were actually just talking about it last night over Memorial Day weekend. She was saying Dead Plant Week is coming up soon, so most greenhouses and places that sell plants around here are kind of getting to the end of the season of planting, and so they're gonna have plants that probably need a home soon. So that's what my mom likes to do. So when you said plant whisperer, that reminds me of my mom. I think that's fitting for her too. All right, so there we have little die cut pieces. Poke out the little insides. And then we just need to kind of finish assembling. I do have this piece that I already stamped, and I kind of told you about this earlier, that you could do it with clear embossing powder. I have stamped the Knock on Wood background on toffee cardstock with toffee ink. So this is a tone-on-tone look that is just ink on cardstock. Let me bring in Susan's sample again so you can see that when you do it with clear, it really brings out the pattern a little bit more. So depending on if you want it to be more noticeable, then the clear embossing works great. Or if you want it to be a little more subtle, the tone-on-tone ink on cardstock is a good choice as well. So I'm going to go ahead and cut out the shelf from this piece of stamped cardstock. Another great option for this that we haven't talked about yet is our new textured wood grain cardstock that comes in a craft color. So that's another option if you wanted to die cut that and maybe blend over the top of it to pull out those embossed lines. You could do that as well. Okay, now that we have this completed, I'm going to turn on my Mink because we're going to do a little bit of foiling. Let me see if I can get it up in the frame here. I've got my big Mink today. It was heating up nice and quickly for me, so I thought I'd just pull this one in frame. And a lot of you might have the mini, which works the same as well. And we're going to foil one of these background pieces from the Essential Patterns Foilet set. Here's what it looks like before it's foiled. I'm going to grab some champagne deco foil. If you guys haven't seen our foil storage solution, we use our stencil storage pouches for the quad stencils and triple slim stencils. Works great for storing your foil as well. So we've got these labels. You can even foil the labels so you can see what foil is inside, what it looks like when it's foiled. Pull out this piece here. We're also going to use this piece eventually, so I'm going to pull that out as well. Valerie, any word on when the carrier sheet will be back in stock? I don't have any word on that. I'm sorry. I will have to check with Jill, who does our product ordering. I'm sure she's already got them on order. Hopefully it's not the manufacturer having an outage. Otherwise it should be pretty fast. Okay, so here is my clear carrier sheet. This is the 6x6 that comes with the mini Mink. Then I have my cardstock shim, followed by my piece of foilet cardstock with the design facing up, and my foil with the pretty side of the foil facing up. And I have turned green here on the Mink, so we're gonna go ahead and push it through.
I have a confession to make. I named my plant.
You did?
Yes. I have a fig tree. Oh. And everyone in our house knows that the fig tree's name is Figlet.
Figlet?
Like piglet, but Figlet. So then I always say to Stoney, go water Figlet, and he's 2, and he just toddles over there and dumps his water cup.
He dumps his water cup and Figlet?
Shares his water with Figlet.
Oh, that's so cute.
Our little fig tree. It's adorable.
I love that name, Figlet. How long have you had your fig tree?
A year and a half.
Okay. Good
He's
job,
big
you.
now. I know, he's big now, so I should probably rename him.
Fig big. Big fig.
Our big fig now.
Big fig. Oh, let's see. Dawn names her plants too. Her fiddle leaf is named Keanu Leaves. Oh, that's great.
You make me feel better, Dawn. Thank you.
Now I want to start gardening and planting just so that I can come up with Charlie here in charge of that. She named Marilyn Monroe bot and Zac Efron. So
Yes.
I feel like Charlie would have some good plant names. All right, look at that beautiful foil on that panel. Love how that turns out every time. So pretty. Whitney was saying earlier too, this would look great foiled with black glossy foil to give it just a glossy shine, but still keep that black color. So another idea for that more modern look. Okay, while we're at it, we're also going to foil one of our insider panels. And I wanted to give you guys a little tip. So sometimes you might want to just foil part of your sentiment and not the whole thing. And if you've learned the hard way, then I apologize for that. But whenever you are only going to foil part of something that's pre-printed with toner, you still have to cover up the other part of it so that it doesn't transfer to your carrier sheet. So any part of exposed toner that is up against your carrier sheet when you send it through your Mink is going to transfer to your carrier sheet. And so to avoid that, I just want to foil this I'm Rooting For You part. It's a little bit thicker font. I think it'll show up kind of fun, but I'm going to leave this in the black. So I'm just going to take a piece of regular old printer paper and we're going to place it over that so that when we send it through our machine, the toner doesn't transfer to our carrier sheet. Now we're going to put that through. Yes, Susan's here. She said she's learned that the hard way. And even though, you know, we know the rules, Susan and I have still done that on occasion. Had a little piece of toner peeking out or just forgotten that we need to do that. So, you know, it's okay to be forgetful, but I just wanted to point that out in case people weren't aware of that rule, so to speak. All right, almost done here. Let's pull this one out. Okay, we're going to turn this guy off now. Whitney, are you going to get him out of the way?
I'm going to take him.
I will hand it to you then. Hopefully it's not too hot. All right, so this, it did transfer just a little bit to that piece of printer paper, but you can see it's nice and black still on the background, and we didn't get any transfer to our carrier sheet. And then we're going to peel away this part, and you can see the I'm Rooting For You foiled just beautifully. There it is. There it is. So that's going to go on the inside of the card when we're finished. And we're going to start assembling. So we've got our foiled panel here, and these panels that are printed all over with pattern can sometimes be a little bit busy. So in order to give my plants a landing spot, I die cut a small rectangle of vellum that's going to go over the center of the card so that it had a place to land, and it sort of tampers the foil in that area, but leaves this area beautiful and shiny and still super pretty. You can see that foil. Okay, so let's decide what plants and what pots we want to use. I'm gonna maybe try something a little bit different than what I did on my original project. Let's try this one for the big stripes and polka dots. Those are kind of similar, so I want a little bit different one. Let's do this one. Okay, and then our shelf is going to go about here. And then the You Grow Girl sentiment, I already did that ahead of time. I just stamped, embossed, and die cut that sentiment there. So to make sure I can get everything in the right spot, I like to lay it out ahead of time. This one I did also blend ahead of time since we did the different color combination, but I wanted a couple of different color combinations for my leafy parts. Try this one over here. This is the part where we just kind of loosely lay it out, decide if we like how it looks. He's a little short. We'll try this one instead. All right, I think that looks great. When I glue it down, I'm gonna bring this plant to the front so I can see more of that different colored leaf color. But in order to make sure that I have all of this equally spaced, I'm going to adhere my shelf first. And the shelf does kind of overlap on the edges, so I'm only gonna put my adhesive in the center of my shelf. Right about here. Okay, now we can adhere our leaves in our pots, and you can do that with liquid adhesive, or because we've got that little space on the bottom, you can add a little bit of tape runner to position those behind without losing any of the leaf design. Those are ready. Let's tape them down. Let's grab some foam tape. I'm going to be using the thin foam squares because I'm going to pop this up a couple different times. So for my plants, I'm going to pop those up with the foam squares, the thin foam. Find my scissors and start cutting off little pieces here. So is everybody already dreaming about what colors you're going to do your plants? I saw Jamie said it would be fun to just have a bunch of these stenciled different pots and different leaves, and then when you're ready to make a card, all you have to do is build it. I do think stenciling is half the fun, like deciding what colors you're going to use and seeing how it all turns out. I'm feeling inspired, not only to make plant cards, but after hearing everyone's fun plant stories, I'm feeling the need.
Should we go buy you some plants today?
I think so. I think I want to.
You're gonna go to Menards after this?
Yes. I mean, I guess it is, I have done plants in the past. I had pots out in front of our garage and the girls used to help me plant them. It's been probably a couple of years since I've done that. It used to be what we did on Mother's Day. And then Henry.
I know. Does he not like plants because he'll like throw the dirt?
I'm not sure. He would probably dig in the dirt, but I don't know that he would bother the plants, like pull the leaves or flowers off. I don't know if he would do that. You just never know.
Yep.
Until you try. And then if it's a disaster, you just don't do it again.
That's like my life's motto.
Yes.
With everything.
Just try. And if it's not a disaster, then do it again.
That's how I made that 4th of July card. I just, tried.
That
Didn't
was
turn
cute.
out as a disaster, so then I guess I'll try again.
Good. Everybody's ready for your next card that you're going to make.
I know, man. Now I'm worried. Woo.
Okay. That one over the top in the middle. Do our sentiment, and I'm going to cut a couple of pieces of foam to go on the back of the sentiment as well. Okay, I have to do another one. Ooh, it's already cut. Don't want a saggy middle in our sentiment. Whitney, you're gonna have to remind me who's here on Thursday. Is it Susan?
I'm pretty sure it's Susan because Heather
Yeah,
did it
Heather
last
did
week.
last week.
With those cute.
Oh, they were so cute.
Yes.
If you missed Heather's live last week, go back and find it.
What a clever idea to use the freebie. I loved it.
Hey, you have them here.
I do. Do you want to see them?
Yeah, let's show them.
Okay.
Heather just sent them in to us, and I love the ideas that she came up with. So definitely get over and watch how she used those dies that we include with every order as a freebie. They have a theme this year. They're all the same size and shape, but they're a different kind of icon in the middle. And she got you excited because she's gonna, she showed you some sneak peeks of months to come. So let's bring those in really quick. And then we'll pop this on a card base and we'll be done. So adorable. Oh my goodness. And she used glitter. I love it when Heather uses glitter because Susan refuses. Just teasing if you're watching, Susan. I love it. All right. So if we're thinking about coming months of freebies, this is June. So starting June 1st, the ice cream cone will be the freebie. Then July 1st, am I right on that? Is the star?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't remember if June was the star. But anyhow, I believe June is the ice cream cone. And then July is the star and August is the rainbow. Oh my goodness. So cute how she glittered each of those little rainbow rings. Oh,
She
I
has
love it.
patience for that.
Yes.
Good job, Heather.
She dips it in her little jar of glitter. Okay, so here is where we have ended with our project, and we're gonna pop this onto a card base, and let me cut it down just a little bit. It's not quite the right size. Good try, Whitney.
I tried cut it.
All right. Just gonna take a little bit off the edge here.
Beginner card maker error. Pause here.
Hold, please. All right, so we've got our panel then that's gonna fit on this black licorice card base. I'm gonna pop up the entire panel with my 1x3 foam strips. And then we're gonna put the insider's panel on the inside.
I cannot get enough of the black licorice cardstock. It's
know.
so like rich in color.
I've seen a lot of questions lately about that on the fan page, just maybe people that didn't see when we originally released that and have been asking, what's the difference between black licorice and Oreo? And the difference is the black licorice is a lot more intense black. So when you put them up next to each other, the Oreo almost starts to look kind of dark gray, just because it's so, this is just such a perfect black. We don't have black licorice ink, but if you're looking for a similar ink, I would recommend the VersaFine Clair. Would have a similar intensity to the black licorice cardstock. Let's pop this inside then. Best wishes on your new adventure. I'm rooting for you with the You Grow Girl on the front. Turned out so cute. I love it. And now I have 2 of them. Okay, thank you. I think somebody is confirming that I was correct. June is the ice cream, July is the star, August is the